Hello and thank you for watching my video. This video today is actually going to talk about what the future holds for Guild Wars 2, particularly for 2016. And it was brought to my attention by a Reddit post that was actually wanted to suggest what was actually happened in 2015. But I want to take you back actually to the start and the launch of Guild Wars 2. Now we know the launch happened in August 2012. So this is on Wiki, so this is actually on the Guild Wars 2 Wiki. This is a list of the releases of everything that's happened, every event that's been taking place in Guild Wars 2 since launch. Well, yeah, since the launch of it. So obviously we had the launch in August, and then we had September, and October was, as you can see here, October 22nd, an important date to remember for Heart of Thorns. Because the October 22nd release was the Halloween event, and that was the very first event that was in Guild Wars 2. They followed this up within 3 weeks by another special event, and this is an event where they learnt a lot because they tried a few different things and it didn't completely work out. This was the Lost Shores event. We also had Winter's Day. Winter's Day and the Halloween festival were both festivals that were from Guild Wars 1, so they kind of knew what they were doing. They probably built them in when they were designing the original game. And then after for example, the Lost Shores event, they had this living world strategy, and that started in January 2013. So that was the start of Season 1. That was when we first heard rumblings in the Norn and the Char that something wasn't going quite right, and this was the birthplace of the Molten Alliance. Yeah, can you believe it? Almost 3 years ago this happened. So then we actually had Season 1 come through, and then we actually had a April Fool's joke on 2013, April 1st, the Super Adventure Box. We followed this up with the ending of Flame and Frost, the Retribution, which is the Molten Facility Dungeon, and then we got Southson, and we actually dealt with Kanak. It wasn't, for me, this was one of the weaker living world sort of storylines. Then we had Dragon Bash, which came in, and that was an interesting aspect. And then we had the Sky Pirates of Tyria, the Bazaar of the Four Winds, the politics. So we had a lot of releases, and when you look back, I mean, if you look back at the dates for 2013 we had so much content. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. We had the Queen's Jubilee, Clockwork Chaos. September, we had Super Adventure Box again. We had Tequatl Rising, the redoing of the World Boss. We had the rechanging of Twilight Arbor to become one of the paths being the Aetherblade path. We had the Blood and Madness, and then the Halloween event, and then Tower of Nightmares, which ran for a month. And then we had Fractured, the changes to the fractals, which happened in November. And then we had Winter's Day for December. So 2013 was a phenomenal year in terms of actual content brought into the game. They did huge amount. And then we came into 2014. This is towards the end. We had the Triple Trouble event. So within 3 months, they'd done, within 4 months, they'd done the Tequatl Rising. They changed the Tequatl, and they brought in the special event, which was the Triple Trouble Worm. And that's also when we had the Twisted Marionette, one of my favourite living world stories. Which had the Edge of the Mists come in 2014. We had Escape from Lion's Arch, again a phenomenal living world element. We had the Battle for Lion's Arch going on through March, and then we actually had a big feature pack change. So they brought in 40 new traits. They brought in Ferocity as a new sort of element. Account-wide die unlocks and the wardrobe. Huge features they brought in. PvP reward tracks. A fundamental feature pack. It was a huge change to the game. And then we actually had the Festival of the Four Winds. Point is, I want to make this here, we actually had the end of Season 1 occur on May the 18th, and then we also had the start of Season 2. Now, if we look at the gap between the two seasons, Season 1 and Season 2, that happened in March 18th, and then it was July. So it's April, May, and June, and then so it was almost 4 months. It was 3.5 months from Living World, Season 1 to Season 2. Obviously, we got a couple of intermission features. And then Season 2 rolled along pretty nicely. Every couple of weeks they had a new feature. Although they did bring in, they had a break after the Dragon's Reach Part 2 where they brought in another feature pack. Updated commander tags, a lot of extra changes, fundamental changes to the game. Then we had October, November, a lot of content, Seeds of Truth, Echoes of the Past. But again, you know, if you think about it, they started this in July the 1st, and it went on until the January 13th. So it's a 6-month period for a season, and that's what I think is going to be happening for 2016. This is where I'm getting on to, because we come up to, you know, we look at all of these feature releases, 2013, 2013, all 2014, and you know what people have been going on about? Give us an expansion. Give us an expansion. Come on, we can get an expansion. Let's give us an expansion. We don't like these Living World these Living World updates. Well, look what's happened in 2015. Nothing. There's been no feature packs. There have been no special events. Absolutely nothing has come into the game since the end of Point of No Return. There have been small updates. Okay, you know, the game does get updated on a regular basis, but there has been nothing coming into the game, and that's because of the expansion. So that leads me to the next stage of development. Okay, so what's going to come on next? October 23rd, Heart of Thorns. That's coming into the game. What about Halloween? Okay, Halloween takes place, you can see here, it was 21st of October. It normally takes place sort of a week and a half before, you know, a week and a half. 2013, it was October 15th. So that was a 2-week period of Halloween, and then we had a 1-week period or 1.5-week period of, you know, the Halloween then. So October 23rd, I think they will have to bring in Halloween with the Heart of Thorns patch. It would make a lot of sense for Lion's Arch. It does make sense that they bring it in as an aspect. It'd be the first time ArenaNet have ever failed to miss Halloween. Interesting topic on there. But then we're going to have Winter's Day in 2015. That's another event that's definitely should be nailed on, because they can recycle the stuff they used from Divinity's Reach for 2014. But where does this leave for 2016? The expansion comes out. What's next on the horizon for ArenaNet? Well, in my regards, I think that they're going to carry on with their Living Worlds campaign. I think that, you know, they've done 2 seasons. I think that the people working on the Living World Season 2, what have they been doing? I don't think they've been doing anything in particular to do with the expansion. I think that they've been told, obviously, that they know how the story ends in Heart of Thorns, and they said, okay, this is what's going to be going on for Season 3. Season 3 is a 6-month, going by the Season 1, Season 2, it will be a 6-month length of time. I believe it will start most likely in January, potentially February. I think February we're looking at the start of Season 3. And it's going to be a 6-month period. I think it will run until July 2016. And then the end of that season, so we're talking July 2016, and I think that will be the announcement of the second expansion. Because I think the expansion that they've done with Heart of Thorns, they've changed a huge amount of elements to the game. Basically, if we go back and have a look at things like the feature patches, particularly we had one in, this was the feature pack in April 2014, and we had one in September 2014. This is basically, Heart of Thorns is a huge feature pack, and that's going to be a year since the last one. You know, you could think of Heart of Thorns as being like the 3rd feature pack. And I think that what's going to happen, we should look at the Heart of Thorns being another big change to the game, and that Heart of the Living World Season 3 is going to basically develop things that we learnt about in Heart of Thorns, and is going to give us the option. I think, you know what, in my opinion, I think ArenaNet already know where they're going with the storyline for Season 3. I think that they will announce the next element, the next expansion at the end of Season 3, and that they will start Season 4 of the Living World in 2016 to have a second expansion date for 2017. I think that's what they're probably looking at. I don't think we can see a turnaround of 12 months like they did with one of their previous games. I think that they have the ability to develop a lot more quicker content now. They've got everything, the fundamentals set in place. I think it's very easy. If you wanted to bash out 4 maps, things like Drytop, Silver Waste, Southland Cove, put them into, you know, the Woodland Cascades, put them into the Char Borderlands. Just give us another story-based expansion rather than a feature-based expansion. And with that expansion, you can also bring in new elite specializations. You can bring in new trait systems, new mastery tracks. and it's going to give you a phenomenal amount of content with another second expansion. So my opinion for 2016, the future of ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2 is that you are likely to see Season 3 come in 2016. It's not going to happen in 2015. I think it'll be after the Winter's Day events for the end of this year. And I think they're going to want to get something in the bank pretty quickly, because if you look at the launch, it was only, pretty much 2 months, and then they released their first special event. Okay, the Lost Shores we can also include in that. That was a month later. So in January, must they be expecting some sort of new content, such as Living World? That is my opinion on this. If you guys have any opinions, if you think the timeline may be a bit off, if you've got any suggestions for what you feel the timeline will be, what we can look forward to in 2016, because ArenaNet did do this roadmap for what they wanted to bring in, new features and things. And they haven't really. There are some things they've been, working on, like the Precursor Scavenger Hunt. They've been working on for 3 years, pretty much, and it's going to be a long time for certain other features to come in. But they are working their way through, and I am going to look forward to 2016. 2016 should be a less barren year than 2015. Okay, 2015 we won't have any personal story, to do with the Living World. I think we're going to get that in 2016 in the bucket load, and I think that the Living World team have got a big lot of features for us. They learned a lot from Season 2, and I think Season 3 is going to be a phenomenal event for us, and really, really excited to look forward to 2016. These are just my thoughts. I hope you've got something. If you want to comment, please do. Feel free to subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.